Well, I guess 10 years ago, we used to do a lot of training regarding the information. Yeah, so it was very important to know the information of your restaurant. Yeah, when you serve, it was important to know that you needed to serve from the right with your right, or clear from the left with your left. It was very important to know the menu completely. Yeah, it was very important for you to know what were the specials. Yeah, that era is gone, and now what it's key is that you provide a service to a guest that it's particular to that person. Yeah, that if you have kids eating with you, you make sure that the kids are happy, because that's going to make your meal better. Yeah, it's important that if you have a couple dining with you, that you give the space necessary for them to be happy. Yeah. And for a group of 4 or 5 that want to have a chat with you, that you acknowledge what stuff you can actually talk to them. Yeah. So going from that or migrating from that, I do the service the way it was supposed to be, right? Disregarding who were you, to now embracing what's your mood and how do I need to make sure that you are happy. Now, there are certain things that are principles, and no matter if it was 10 years ago or now, they kept there. And I'm going to give you a couple of things. So if you provide great service, but it takes an hour for you to get a dish on the table, people are going to be unhappy. Yeah. So there's no way that no matter how good the service is, if you got to wait an hour for your meal, you're going to be unhappy. If you have great service, great timing, but the food is a disaster, you're going to be very unhappy, because at the end, your basic need when you go to a restaurant is to eat, to have a good meal, and you're paying for it. So and to take that third leg off is, if you have great food and you have good timing for the food to get to your table, but you have someone that is serving you that gives you the bad vibe, you are gonna leave unhappy. Yeah. And now I guess the way of measuring that is much easier than what it was before. I remember when I started, that we had these printed things that we filled the surveys. It went to a box. Someone at some point will grab them and tabulate them all. And now you have social media. You have all these online tools that, like JD Power or Richie reports, that give you automatic idea of what the temperature of your restaurant is. So it's much better now. It's much easier to say, team, we gotta focus on this because we're not doing a good job with it. Yeah, or we are doing great. Let's keep the focus on there. I guess the important part is also to whenever you bring it into a restaurant environment, is to make sure that there are 2 or 3 things that people have in mind all the time. Yeah, it's not about talking about 25 things, because people tend to dilute 23 of them and keep the 2 that they believe are more important. So one of the things that we speak very often is, okay, so what are the 3 things, 2 or 3 things that you're going to keep your guys super focused on, laser focused. Yeah, because whenever those 3 are a habit, you can go to the next 3. And in a period of 6 months, you're going to have a restaurant or a venue that is going to be in a much better position than what you had 6 months ago, if it makes sense. Yeah. So I guess the idea here is, a restaurant has a lot of variables. It's very complex. Yeah, different people serving sets of different dishes all the time. So bringing it to a very simple objective for all the stuff that we have. Yeah, because the thing is, a GM is not the same as the colleague that doesn't have any experience in a restaurant, for example. Yeah, so that's the key. How we translate whatever we think are the goals into simple processes and procedures in the everyday life. And just to give you an example is, the typical thing in a restaurant is, okay, so we need to make 20,000 more per day. But you tell that in a briefing to the staff, and they don't know what 20,000 is. Now, there's another way. You can tell to the guys, Amro, today you need to sell 25 ribeye steaks, and they will make sure that they do it, you know? So 25 steaks is a very easy thing to measure. And you know that if you do it with 5 stations, will give you 20,000 more a day. Yeah? But that's the idea. How we simplify, how do we translate what we want to get in terms of money or service into the little tasks or procedures that we have every day in a restaurant. Yeah?
Yeah. You mentioned before that the customers will most probably focus or have their emotional experience built about 2 or 3 things. One of them you mentioned the product itself, the location, and the service. Among these 3, the product, the atmosphere, and the service, which one do you think is the most important factor for the customer to come back?
Well, I think there's no one that is better than the other. So you can be mediocre in any of those 3, right? And probably you will still get away with it. You can be mediocre in the 3 of them, and probably you'll have less chance of success. What you cannot be is bad in any of them. So, I guess it's extremely important that you hire the best people you can. And this is not about experience, it's not about how long they've been working before in any other restaurant. It's about hiring that particular characteristics of a great personality, you know? And, you know, I can imagine not more than 2 or 3 things are important when I hire people, you know. But I always look at almost the same things, you know. If someone has the passion to do things, yeah, so you feel that he's passionate about not only restaurants, it's about life, you know. So if you feel that spark, it's so much easier to make things happen, yeah. And talking about staff is also very, very important, that whenever you, all the methods, all the energy put into the people who are not performing well, is that you make sure that they're going, because people who are good, whenever you don't do nothing with the ones who are not performing good, they just think that you don't care about them anymore, you know. So it's very important to make sure that you give any tools and all the support needed for people to do great. But once they don't do well, it's very important for you to make room for people who want to do a job great. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that summarizes basically what for me is important. You know, I guess that you have many ways of getting to great results, but this is mine. You know. So yeah, hope that works.
That will work, I'm sure. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing with us all of this valuable experience. It really sounds very exciting and very practical, hands-on experience out of so many years of all over the world experience. So thank you very much for being with us and sharing how to do the best and how to create repeat business through our customers. And that was the insight of the entire story from Ruben. Ruben, thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all very much for watching. This is Amro, and you're watching Amro.